I a fake person? Am I fake like this? Because how on earth is that this is what I'm thinking I am, and then on the other side, everyone around me doesn't see who I think I am. I wouldn't want to call it identity crisis, but the process of discovering yourself. Like, we all have been here or at that point where our values weren't necessarily being played out in our reality. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Linda, and in this video I talk about these. Today's video will be me discussing with you. It's a chit chat, just me discussing with you something I learned today about authenticity, about the process of discovering your most authentic self, your most authentic version. And because of how beautiful and impactful this was for me, I just thought it well to share with you. I mean, that's the whole essence of starting this channel in the first place. I wanted to be able to share my journey, my process with people, so that somebody else who is on that journey as well could pick one or two from it and also help their process. Because I found out that for me, YouTube was just that place where I come to find, like, not the scientific side of things, but the people experience that literature doesn't seem to capture very much of. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing this video today. So I'm going to start this video by like sharing what happened in my mind space while I was taking this particular learning process, the reflections that played through my mind. So first of all, it threw me back to an experience I had about, let's say, 2 years ago. So I went home, I visited home, and I was just trying to pick together one of my, old documents, just in case it comes in handy, because you don't know when next you'll be visiting the family house and stuff. And then, guess what I discovered, guys? I found my high school slum book. For those who don't know, I didn't go to a secondary school, I went to high school. I think I'm just joking, I'm just throwing bands. Well, I went to a school that was actually a high school, and because we used to like drag back then that we're not like regular, we didn't go to secondary schools, like typical secondary school, went to a high school, so it was all that stuff. But basically, I got a copy of my slum book from high school, Providence High School, and I was amazed. I was amazed at what myself, as at so many years back, it's over 10 years ago, how much I dreamt, how much I thought things were possible, how much I was able to put into what I wanted to become. I was amazed at my aspirations at that age, given the availability of resources and what I knew then and all of that. I was even more intrigued by how different my pattern of dreaming as at that time, many years ago, is to my pattern of dreaming now. Let me explain what I mean by that. So then I felt, and this is all my reflection, it seemed to me like, despite the limited know-how, I had a big idea, or a very in-depth, an in-depth, wide-breadth kind of idea of what my aspirations were, what I wanted to become, how I wanted to impact the people around me. And comparing it to how I dream now, I still dream, I still aspire, I'm still an ambitious young woman, but I think it seemed to me like my dreams now are a bit more shrunken in comparison. And it left me at a point where I wanted to discover what exactly has changed between that girl who was dreaming 10 years ago and the girl who is dreaming now. I'm very, when I want to reflect, it throws me in different directions. So from thinking of what has changed, it just popped up in my head. Oh, you're beginning to think smart. You're beginning to dream smart. You know, the whole smart analogy of saying, your dreams have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be attainable, they have to be time bound, they have to be realistic. So I guess I moved from a phase where I was just imagine that everything was possible, to a point where I tried to size it, to capture it, to put it in a way that it was imaginable. And growing now in an older form of myself, I tend to dream dreams that are smart. That's a good thing because then you achieve the dream. But you also have to be careful that you're not shrinking what your capabilities are. Because looking back at that 10 years or at that at those dreams I had at that age, it seems to me like a lot of them have actually been achieved or are near achievements or are still the dreams I'm running with till this date. And the question is, when you've exhausted that circle as at what you were dreaming then, and you have only ended up setting smaller targets for yourself at this point, how far really are you going to run? So all of this in my mind brought me to something. I mean, it's all spark of the moment, right? Something, and I'll call this Linda's analogy because God knows I haven't seen this any place. It just happened in that moment of reflection. And it's what I'll call Linda's staircase analogy. You guys should invite me for a TED Talk because I'm really looking at exploring and studying this more in a social kind of experiment. Yeah, so it seemed to me like, and I don't know if this experience is shared, but you can always comment in the comment section, and we can rub minds together because I'm all about that. But it seemed to me like a measure of the younger me and the older me. So at a younger age, I was dreaming like impossible is nothing kind of vibes kind of way. But as an older version of myself, I am trying to capture it and make it more realistic. And that breathed what I would call now the staircase analogy. The fact that you want to dream smart, it's like somebody who is building a house, and because you want it to be doable, you decide to build a bungalow and put three steps in front of the house to get into the house. It's different from the fact that you want to build a tower or a multi-story building and you want to build 15 steps or whatever number of steps to get to the top floor, right? I figured that what I probably would have been doing at an older age now is building bungalows instead of building multi-story building, because I'm trying to set smart goals. Okay, I want to do this at this particular time, be specific, all of that, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. But what I think should really be happening is this. Here is the big picture of what I want to do. Here is the big picture of what I want to do. I want to create a multi-story building. And I want to be smart about it. It's going to take me 30 steps to get to the top of that building. And I'm going to set smart goals for each step of the way. So when you set smart goals for each step of the way, you are not overwhelmed by the big picture. But what this means is that even if for some reason, for things outside of your locus of control or not, or even intrinsic factors, you do not end up with a multi-story building. You might as well end up with halfway that number of floors that you wanted to build versus setting a target to build a bungalow when actually you might have had the capacity to build a multi-story building. In that moment of reflection, this just came to me like, you still need to focus on building the big picture. And when you want to apply the smart strategy, apply the smart strategy to the smaller steps that get you to the big picture. But don't, because you're trying to be smart in your goal setting, shrink the size of what you're capable of doing. So this also came to me, and so in the process of all of this, I started thinking, how did I get here? How did I get from that point to this point? And it still brings me back to the experience of, I wouldn't want to call it identity crisis, but the process of discovering yourself. Like, we all have been here or at that point where our values weren't necessarily being played out in our reality or in the way that we behave. So you want to be, let's give an instance, you have a target, or you told yourself, oh, this is who I want to be in terms of my career, in terms of my family, in terms of my relationships, in terms of all of this. You have it like, this is a picture. This is the picture of you that is in your head. But on the other side, in reality, this is the picture of you that people are seeing. It's not really what you're seeing in your head as a disconnect. And sometimes you find out that there are values you hold dear, but the way you behave at a particular time doesn't promote that value. And you begin to wonder, who exactly am I? Who exactly is myself? Because who I'm thinking I am is not what people are seeing. Who I'm thinking I am is not actually how I am acting. And in that moment, when I was younger, I found myself in a space where I thought I needed to reshape, resize, or reevaluate my values to begin to fit into the way I behave. Because it's like, okay, if this is actually how I behave, and behavior is supposed to be like a reflection of my internal self, then maybe I'm actually lying to myself about what my value sets are. But getting older, I realized that that's not the shifts at all. That's not the dynamics for me. Your behavior, I began to realize, I don't want to say this like, oh, I'm generalizing. So I began to realize that my behavior isn't just a reflection of my value sets. That's what I thought when I was younger. But my behavior is a reflection of my value sets, my adaptation of it due to my human nature, my flaws and all of that, and what my external environment has also done to my value sets. So by external environment here, I mean the human, like people you associate with, situations you found yourself in, opportunities that have presented themselves for you to take certain actions or take certain decisions, right? So realizing that my behavior wasn't just a direct representation of my value set, but something which was influenced by so many other things, was like a wake-up call for me. And it just told me, it's like saying, oh, let's not go far, let's not go into thinking it's all mental and in the way you conceptualize yourself. Just take it like this: your ideal job is a job where you are working remotely on some days, working some few weeks an hour, getting all the bucks, having a straight mind-blowing balance with yourself, with family, being able to take your trips, your vacation, and all of that. That's your ideal job. And that job is possible. It's realistic. People have that job. People make that money. People have that balance. And then on the other side is your reality, right? And on that reality part is you who is struggling to do night shifts, do day shifts, combine all of that with your children. You're not there on some days because you have to prepare for some exams. And then some days you're there. It's like kind of really chaotic, right? And you can see that anybody who is looking at your reality will never see what you're imagining or what you think or what you want to get to. And you will have done yourself no good if you begin to judge the full picture the same way someone who is seeing a part of the puzzle is judging that picture. You would have done yourself no good. What you're going to do in that situation is stay in touch with the picture. Stay in touch with the values and idea and the concept of staying in touch rather with that value and concept and idea of who it is that you believe that you are, who you want to be. And then on the other side of reality, trying to align both of them. Now in the process of doing this, you begin to wonder, am I a fake person? Am I fake like this? Because how on earth is that this is what I'm thinking I am? I'm trying to act like who I think I am. And then on the other side, everyone around me doesn't see who I think I am. It's a total disconnect. It's like this. But the truth about it is this. Like I said, if you give in to seeing the big picture from the angle, from the perspective of someone who is only seeing a card or a block in that puzzle, you did yourself no good. So when I accepted that it was okay for me to work towards this alignment, and that myself, my most authentic self, isn't necessarily buried in the other spectrum, that my most authentic self is also in the journey of this alignment, it did me a lot of good. It did me a lot of good. So I've lived or have taken steps with this in mind, that authentic self is not like a state. It's a state of fluidity where you are evolving, where you are growing, where you're discovering yourself and trying to find that point of alignment. The fact that today I'm not eating healthy, or I'm taking alcohol excessively, or I'm smoking, this is not pertaining to me. I'm just giving an example. does not mean that I can never become that person who I want to be, where I'm cutting down on all the things that harm my body, adopting healthy habits. But guess what? Because people only see who you are at the point where you are having to struggle with those bad habits. When you try to tell them that this is who you are on the side, they laugh like, who is this one? Why are you faking it? Accept your reality, be who you are, right? If you give into that picture, you will never align the two people. That's the ideal person you want to be and what your reality currently is. But if you understand that your authentic self lies in the process of making that alignment, you're going to have a better time. You're going to have a more impactful time in your life. That's all I'm trying to say. That's some of what I'm trying to say. So let's come back to what happened recently and what I learned about authenticity. So I've always walked around with this idea, right? But recently I took a course that it was like a bright spark moment. It was like a light bulb moment for me. And I'm like, wow, this is what I have been trying. This is that block I've been trying to solve. This is that understanding I've been trying to get out of the process of self-discovery, the process of knowing your most authentic self. And it came like a Venn diagram. That's the picture of the Venn diagram here. And in this Venn diagram, authenticity was in the middle. And then your value set was on one side and your behavior was on one side. And it said that your authentic self lies at the point of fusion of the two. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. That makes all the sense. So instead of being at that point where I had thought that when your behavior wasn't mirroring your value sets, that you were supposed to start reshaping and resizing your value sets to meet your behavior, even if that's not what you really hope to be. I got to the point of understanding that this relationship, like a Venn diagram, is bidirectional. They can literally slide into each other or slide out of each other, but either ways, they both can slide. That is to say that you can actually begin to reshape your behavior to get to your value points and not the other way around. Or better still, find a sense of balance between both of them, because human nature, self-discovery is a very fluid process. And it's all about analyzing. It's all about being aware. It's all about honest assessment and giving feedback to how you conduct your affairs. So after learning about this Venn diagram, I had to come up with like a personal development plan, and still reflecting back on my childhood and everything, and how I used to struggle with thinking that behavior and value equals to each other and stuff like that. And also how I began to realize that behavior is multifactorial, value plus every other thing that surrounds it. I also thought to myself, it's going to be great if you imagine this as a circle, like a pie chart, and with different fractions, where at the very low level of self-discovery and self-awareness, your value set is a very small piece of the pie chart of the fraction. And then external factors are also there, human weaknesses and all of that are in the pie chart. But with self-discovery and intentional personal development, you begin to get to a point of increasing the size or the influence that your value sets have on your behavior. And that way you further shrink every other thing. Because I'm always going to talk about healthy living. Like, that's literally a lot of the things I try to coach people through. Imagine it that it's like simply saying you were at that point in your life where you were in a gathering and people are taking a lot of alcohol, and then you say, oh my god, and the next one you're like, oh my god, I really wanted to, I wanted not to take alcohol today, but they were all taking alcohol, the music was up, the vibe was there, so I just had to. But anyway, right now I feel so sorry. That's the lower point. And then you get to the point where you've told yourself, I don't want to take alcohol the way I used to, because it's harmful for my health. And because it's harmful for my health, I'm going to be spending so much money on healthcare in about the next 10 years. And also, I increase my chances of dying prematurely from developing lots of illnesses that could take me away from my loved ones at a very young age. I don't want all of that. And with that awareness, you now say, When I go for a party, I'm not taking more than a particular quantity, maybe 20 ml of spirit or something, or whatever, or even just have water. And then you go for that drink. And because your value set, you have trained yourself, you have increased your ability to make decisions that are true to your value sets. You find out that external factors and every other thing doesn't shape it as much as it used to before. That's the point of alignment that you want to get to. So the whole summary of this video is the journey of discovering your authentic self is you already living your authentic self. It's not just the point of getting to the ideal. It's the point of being self-aware. It's the point of doing that self-discovery. It's the point of doing and putting in the work to get to where you want to be. And never think that you have to shift your value sets all just to accommodate the behavior. It's bi-directional. You can push, you can make changes, you can reevaluate, you can reassess yourself just to make sure that it's aligned. And it's okay if you are the only one that sees the picture. It's okay if every other person around you sees a piece of the puzzle. I mean, how else would they? Are they witches and wizards? They're not in your mind eye. They would not see it from the angle that you see it. But you owe it to yourself to see the big picture, to hold on to the big picture and to align with the big picture. That being said, welcome to my TED Talk. Well, seriously guys, I'm at the end of this video. I just want to tell you that aside being a medical doctor in my day-to-day life, I am very, very passionate about personal development. And one of the reasons why I founded this channel was to share my experiences that could help another person, because I have found so many resources on YouTube that helped me in my own journey. So if you like to be part of my, self-discovery and all the bits and bits of what I share on this channel, then please don't fail to subscribe. Please don't fail to refer someone. And I really love intelligent questions. Please ask me questions that will get my mind popping in the comment section, and we can rub minds together on them. Okay, till next time.